Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got the Alaskan Avenger sister.
I don't think it ever changed per se.
But did he come up with a plan? Like, I'm going to do this? Did he?
So he had been in and out of prison for, credit card fraud, check fraud, theft, all of those kinds of things. He did a 2-year and a 4-year stint. So he's already been in and out of prison. And honestly, at the end of the day, prison gangs, that kind of stuff. I don't think that those three were his first. Let's just say that. So, I think it has been a thing. It had already been a thing going on. Those were just the ones he was caught for because he's passionate about it. And because he was been in prison and lived that life. He is connected with the underground gang community. Underground gang communities do not snitch on each other. They rely on each other to take care of business. And that's one thing that I was going to bring up is the rumors all the news reports saying that he got those names from the sex offender registry. That's not where he got those names. He got those names from the underground community in Anchorage of people reporting that these things were going on. And so at the time, he had a wife. He's got 2 kids. They got divorced. She cut him off from all the kids. Her and him lived a very crazy, crazy life with their kids, like running drugs and doing whatever. And anyways, they ended up not working out. And he basically had nothing to lose at this point. So after he starts hearing about these names, he starts writing them down. And he starts going to research these people. He's like, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to go scare the piss out of these people. So hopefully they don't, they're not fucking around with our kids.
These are people that were convicted because that's where the rumor comes in because some of them are convicted, right?
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So basically he gets this list, right? And as he starts researching them online, he's to get their address and their information. Majority of these people are already registered sex offenders, and they are being reported from the underground gang community that they are reoffending. The man that he hit in the face with the hammer, he was literally a youth leader, a music youth leader. And if you look at the discovery photos from the night that he got caught, this man has a full band set up in his living room where he has all these church kids coming over to his house to practice a band for the church. How are we allowing a registered sex offender who is on the registry for literally his own granddaughter, and she was 2 years old granddaughter.
Wow.
How are we allowing this man to be a youth leader and have kids in his home? I don't know. But anyway, so that's where he got those names from. Most of them were already on the registry. So then he started going to these places. He actually got one of those names because he was at one of the addresses. It was an apartment complex. And he was it was at night. He'd walked up. There were 2 gangsters walking around there. What are you doing here? Trying to bow him up. And he was like, listen, here's what I'm doing. I'm looking for this man. I heard he was doing this. And they're like, no. Oh yeah, he lives over here. And also we have another name for you. And they gave him another name. And so all of the news stuff that says that he just went and found randoms on the offender registry was not accurate. It just so happened to be that a handful of them were already there.
So I wanted to ask you, were any of these people that he attacked, were they investigated after this?
No, and oh gosh, there's so many details. They weren't. In fact, the Larry is the one he hit in the head with the hammer. He is the only one who called the cops. Once he called the cops and that hit the news, then the 2 guys that he had already hit beforehand came out of the woodworks. So one of those guys, and I can't remember the name, but one of those guys was on the registry for child pornography. This visit that they went to, that Jason went to, just happened to, he had 2 girls with him that had been, basically they had had a horrible life and they were, this resonated to them and then they wanted to help and be a part of it. And so he allowed them to come on this visit. And we actually have cell phone. It hasn't been released to the public yet, but we have a cell phone video from a cell phone of him slapping this dude during the thing. Like, we have this and he had no idea it was being recorded either. One of the girls busted out a cell phone. You can hear them talking about it. But I've had an interview with one of the girls that was there, and she was like, Angelina, she said, I'll never forget it. She said it was like a movie. He's sitting there, and you can hear him in the video. He is saying, the guy's like, I'm not like that anymore. I promise. I'm not like that anymore. And he's like, whose keys are these? This is to your truck? Well, you need to donate that to the kids. Like, that's what Jason's saying to him as he's slapping him and whatever. And the girl goes, so, and on the video, you hear her say, I can't watch this anymore. And so the video cuts out. And then when I interviewed her, she said it was like a movie. Angelina, me and whoever the other girl's name was, went to go start rummaging through this guy's house to see if there was any valuables for us to steal. She said, I walked into his bedroom and walked up to his closet. And I vividly remember there being a bunch of flannel shirts on hangers. And I slid the flannel shirts to the side so I could look in the closet to see if there was anything of value in there. She said there was a wall full of child pictures of kids. And she was like, it was like a movie. She's like, I'll never forget it. But again, by the time Jason and these girls got arrested and these guys came forward, I don't know that they ever investigated and went to the house to even look after that was, talked about. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they had time to clean all that up. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot to this story, and it's crazy. It's very crazy.
So what, like a brief rundown of what he was doing? Like, so he got this list together, and what would he do?
So he would get the list together, and he would go to their house. Most of the time it was at night. He'd knock on the door. They'd answer the door. He'd verify their name, and he's already seen pictures of them online, right? He'd verify their name and be like, are you so-and-so? And they would be like, yes. And then he would force his way into the house. And then the first guy, like if we're talking about the three guys that he was, sentenced for, the first guy, he slapped that guy around a little bit, stole some shit and left, gave him a talking to, and you better not be, you better stop this. You're not going to do this in my town, blah, blah, blah. The second guy, allegedly, same thing. He went in, but he ended up punching the guy a few times, giving him a talking to, trying to scare this fool, stealing some stuff and leaving. And one of these houses, there was like a busted ass truck that had a clutch that was out that like he took the guy's bus pass. He took the guy's keys to his truck, and he's like, you're going to donate these to the kids. And anyways, so they limped this truck off in the middle of the night, and he ended up taking it to this single mom who was living in a trailer, giving it to her because she was in need. She ended up selling it and was able to, whatever. But yeah, so he was taking, and then there was another guy that they had a bunch of gold coins and like Sacagawea dollars and like all these, silver dollars and all this stuff. He's like, I took all of that, gave it to that mom, and her and the kid, he said, I took them up to Walmart or wherever, went to Coinstar and like watched them, and like he got to buy all this. He was going back to school, got to buy all toys and school clothes and but then the third guy, which was, did I call him Larry? I can't remember that man's name right now. The third guy, the guy he beat with the hammer, he knocked on the door, and nobody would answer, but he could see shadows inside. He knew somebody was in there. And so he went back to his car where he grabbed a backpack, which had a hammer in it, and broke out like the side light to the side of the door and went in the house that way. Well, what he didn't know is there was another couple staying at the house. And he's like, I don't know if it was like an Airbnb or they were renting it or what the deal was. He was like, but as I turned down the hallway, their door was the first on the right, and they came out. And I knew it wasn't them because I knew what the guy looked like. I told them to get back in their bedroom and this does not concern you. He said, by the time I got down to the guy's room, I opened the door and he's sitting on the bed, and I tell him to stand up and he wouldn't stand up. Eventually something happened to where the guy does stand up. oh, he was telling him to kneel down next to the bed or whatever. And the guy was refusing to do it. So Jason, I guess, tried to force him to do that. The guy ends up got like a few punches on Jason's face. And so at that point, Jason grabs the backpack, pulls out the hammer, and just starts cracking the dude in the face, in the collarbone. Yeah. And so then I don't know if he stole anything at that point, but meanwhile, all that is going on. That couple is the one who called the cops.